So thank you, Renée, first of all, and also the Saeculum team, not only for this award, but your helpfulness and kindness over the past few months. And Renée, I'd like to say a special thank you to you. It's an honor for me to receive this from you, especially in the name of your parents, so thank you so much. I was asked to speak tonight about my paper and essentially why I decided to write about Jewish-Christian relations in the Middle Ages. I've always had an interest in history, but it was only in my undergraduate that I realized the riches of studying religion. In my first year, I took a scripture course with an Orthodox rabbi as a professor, and that was when I really became interested in Judaism. The following year, I decided to take History of the Jewish People, a history course that's actually offered every year at the University of Toronto. And I was excited to take the course because I thought that it would begin with Judaism's earliest history and look at biblical figures, but I was wrong. It started in the medieval period. This was the first time I'd ever taken a class in the Middle Ages, and I absolutely fell in love, in particular with the way Christians and Jews interacted with each other. You might ask me why I found it so interesting. Well, I had a professor who said that history should always surprise you. And if you know why and how things already happened, then it's not good history at all. And that being said, I was certainly surprised by the interactions between Jews and Christians. To be fair, I never thought it was going to be an affectionate relationship, but I had no idea of the brutality and hostility between the two. I was shocked to hear that Christians had burned Jews alive for refusing to convert, and I think it was this shock factor that really captured my interest. Once I had realized I had a passion for studying the medieval period, I spoke to my TA about it, and he suggested a few professors in the medieval department who offer undergraduate classes the following year. And so I took his advice and took a class titled Medieval Mediterranean with one of the professors he suggested, pardon me. And I'm very glad that I did. During our first class, the professor mentioned that for the final research paper, he wanted us to choose a topic that interests us. He wasn't going to provide any for the students to choose. So I knew right away that I wanted to write on something about Jewish-Christian relations, in particular the way that Jews were demonized. So I had visited him during his office hours, and before I went, I had prepared everything I was going to say to him at the time, because I thought to myself, this is your first meeting with your professor. Whatever you do, just go as smart as possible. So I got to his office, I knocked on the door, and it was open. So I just kind of stuck my head in and said, "Hi, Professor, I'm in your medieval class. I want to talk to you about a topic for the paper. I have an idea what to write." And he said, "Of course, Jessica, come in." And I was so taken aback that he knew me by name. I was shocked that everything I planned to say went out the window. And all I kept thinking was, is this a good thing or a bad thing that he knows my name? And so when he asked what I wanted to write about, all that came out was, well, I think the way Christians demonized Jews was pretty cool. And yeah, so you can imagine my horror when I had said this. And I don't know if you realize, I'll never forget his reaction. I don't know if you realize how terrified I was or saw the way my face dropped when I realized what I had said, that he just starts laughing. He burst out laughing, and I guess you realize how nervous I was, and he tried to hide it up, so he just tried to put his elbow on the desk and cover his mouth, but you saw his shoulders going up and down, right? So, but anyway, it was pretty funny. He said to me, "It's okay, I understand what you meant," and we actually spent a lot of time talking, and he told me that he's interested in Jewish, Christian, and Muslim interactions in medieval Spain. That's what he focuses on. So again, we spent some time talking. He said, "Wait here, I have something for you." So he steps out of the room, comes back with a document, just a list of readings that he offers for his master's course. And he said, "This is a good place to start. I think you should start reading these and get back to me." So I thought, all right, thank you. That's very kind of you. And the first reading on that list was Gavin L. Langmuir's book titled Toward a Definition of Anti-Semitism. And now I'd like to shift over to my paper because it was this reading that is the foundation of my essay. So essentially, Langmuir's argument is that anti-Semitism began in the medieval period. Any type of hatred pre-medieval was only used to condemn Jews for their belief in Christianity. In the medieval period, there was a switch into a type of irrational hatred, one that confirmed a Jew-devil relationship and believed Jews were conspiring to ruin Christendom. Many argue that this change occurred in the Middle Ages opposed to any other time period, because it was around the 12th century when European intellectuals began to use philosophical reason to claim Christianity's supremacy. And they would often run into the problem of, well, how do Jews still not believe while they're living in triumphant Christendom? So intellectuals, and the one that I mentioned in my paper is Peter the Venerable, came to the conclusion that if Jews cannot reason like us Christians, well, maybe they're not even human. They must be creatures of the devil. So the change into this irrational hatred occurred in various aspects of medieval society. The most obvious example is that in ecclesia and synagoga. So these are famous images of two women that represent Christianity and Judaism. Ecclesia, which represents Christianity, she's always depicted as a proud, victorious woman, her head's always held high. And on the other hand, you have synagoga, who's depicted always with a blindfold on and a broken scepter. And obviously, this shows that ecclesia was meant to be superior, right? So these images are seen everywhere across medieval Europe, in ivory tablets, stained glass windows, in churches, and the like. But these images changed. So synagoga's cloth blindfold now turned into a snake covering her eyes. So the snake ended up being a blindfold, and obviously that hints that it's the devil who's making Jews unable to see Christianity, believe in Christianity. The Jew-devil partnership is also seen in literature, specifically in the famous legends of Theophilus, which is extremely popular in this period. The demonized Jew, again, is also obvious in Christian passion plays. In these plays, the Jew is often seen conspiring with the devil to create a plan to kill Jesus. Another area where we find demonization are in sermons. We have examples of spiritual leaders telling stories of a Jew who was filled with demonic spirits. So you could imagine that someone even in this period was hearing and seeing this type of irrational hatred everywhere. In art, literature, even the passion plays that they watched, they were constantly being told that the Jew was a partner of the devil. So this eventually led to anti-Semitic accusations, which took a variety of forms and left Jews either forcefully converted, expelled from their land, imprisoned, or even killed. So now I'd just like to go over a few of these anti-Semitic accusations. First, there was the charge of blood libel and ritual murder. So it was believed that Jews would kidnap and murder Christian children using their blood for rituals and miraculous healings. Another accusation was the charge of host desecration. So in 1215, the doctrine of transubstantiation became official church policy, and it holds that the bread and wine in the Catholic ceremony of the Eucharist becomes the actual body and blood of Christ. So it was believed that the Jews would attend Mass, pretending to be Catholic, snatch the host, take it home with them, and then stab and mutilate it. And the last accusation was brought on by the Great Plague, or the Black Death. And Christians, in fact, blamed Jews for the plague, believing that they had poisoned the wells in an attempt to destroy Christendom. This accusation, more than any other, took the most lives. Thousands of Jews were killed on charge of spreading this epidemic. Although my paper agrees with historian Langmuir's belief that this was the beginning of anti-Semitism, I want to be clear that this is only one perspective. As I wrote my paper, I spent time talking to my professor about it, and he was very clear with me that he didn't agree with Langmuir at all. For him, nothing before the Holocaust should be considered anti-Semitism, and even then he said he had trouble with the term. So I invite you to consider both sides while you read my essay and come to your own decision. Is the medieval period the beginning of anti-Semitism, or is it just a continuation of anti-Jewish hostility? A final point I'd like to make, which you'll find noted in my essay, is that I use the term Christians generally. I want to be clear that not all Christians demonize Jews. Opinions of Christians regarding the Jews varied throughout Europe and were influenced by geographical and circumstantial factors. The opinions also differed between all levels of the Christian hierarchy, including both clerical and lay persons. Please also keep in mind the fact that there are several instances of friendly relationships between Jews and Christians in this period as well. Now, I originally planned to end my speech here, but as you can see with this paper taken from my notebook and a chicken scratch on it, something happened to me this morning that I have to share with you. I'm beginning to believe that you're meant to meet people, and maybe things really do happen for a reason. This morning I took a course that I was most interested to take. For those of you who don't know, I'm in the Faculty of Theology here at St. Michael's, and I couldn't wait to take this course. It's Christianity and World Religions. And my professor this morning, right at the beginning of class, said, "This is not a course on how to convert people to Christianity. This is a course that focuses on the promotion of interfaith dialogue." And he said, Jesus told us to love our neighbor, and I'm going to quote him here. He said, "You cannot love your neighbor if you do not have enough charity to find out what he believes. If you don't know what your neighbor believes, all you do is promote hate." And this to me is exactly what happened in the medieval period. People didn't know enough about their Jewish neighbor, so they bought into these accusations and promoted hate. My professor this morning also said that it's necessary for Christians to acknowledge the evil that we've done in our past. That way we can have honest dialogue with others. And I think that's extremely important. And I'd like to end today the way that my professor ended his course this morning. He said, "You all think you know about your neighbor, but in fact you don't know half the things about that person. You have to take time to get to know other people." And he ended by saying, "How can you know God, who is unseen, when you don't know the people you pass by every single day?" And so I'd just like to thank you all for this opportunity. I hope you enjoyed reading my essay. Thank you for coming here tonight, and it was a pleasure to speak to you all this evening. Thank you very much.